I can still recall the exact moment the entire room fell silent. And no, it wasn't the kind of silence that lingers after a heartfelt speech or a magical first dance. No, this was the kind of silence that smacks you across the face, dares you to react, to break down right there in front of everyone. It was at my brother Liam's wedding. I started to speak, my voice steady despite the tightness in my chest. His bride stood up there on stage, microphone in hand, and called me a pathetic single mom. The room erupted, laughter bouncing off the chandeliers, forks pausing midair, people chuckling into their champagne flutes like it was the best joke of the night. But that wasn't even the worst part. The real punch to the gut came when my mother, leaned in toward her glass, voice loud enough to carry through the speakers, and sneered. "She's like a discount model with a scratched label." And just like that, the laughter doubled. It spread through the room like wildfire, roaring louder, engulfing every corner. It wrapped around me like a noose of humiliation, each giggle tightening it. I sat there frozen. My face burned, my ears rang, and my fingers trembled as I reached for my water glass, only to stop when I realized I couldn't even lift it without spilling. Instead, I clenched my hands into fists, digging my nails into my palms, willing myself not to shake, not to let them see. My eyes darted instinctively to Liam, my baby brother. He sat at the head table, staring into his lap, expression unreadable. But then, just for a second, his eyes flickered toward me, just once, and then they looked away. Like he couldn't bear to meet my gaze. Like it was easier to pretend I wasn't there. And in that moment, something inside me shattered. I was 8 years old again, standing behind the garage while the neighborhood girls whispered about how weird I was, how cheap my clothes looked. But this time it wasn't strangers. It was my own blood. And for what? Because I was a single mom. Because I wasn't wrapped in silk and diamond-cut perfection like Emily, Liam's new wife. Emily. She stood up there, bathed in the golden glow of the chandeliers, her pearl-white gown cascading around her like she was some kind of untouchable goddess. Her fingers curled around the microphone, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. Not that it ever did. I had spent the past year watching her maneuver through our family. Her compliments always edged with something sharp. "You're so brave for raising a child on your own." She had said that to me once, her voice honeyed, but the words stung. As if I were a stray dog surviving on scraps. And then there was my mother, Janice. The same woman who used to braid my hair before school now looked at me like I was an expired coupon. Once valuable, now worthless. Why did her words cut so deep? Why did I still care? Was this all they saw me as? Just a single mom, some tragic little failure? I sat perfectly still, my back ramrod straight, my lips curled into a polite, painful smile. Next to me, my son Noah clutched a napkin between his small hands, his big brown eyes scanning my face. He saw everything. And so I forced another smile. Anything to keep him from seeing the tears pooling in my eyes. And then his voice. Quiet. But enough to cut through the noise like a blade. "Mom, why are they laughing at you?" My heart clenched. That question, that one innocent question, ripped something open inside me. I opened my mouth, but no words came. What could I say? That sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most are the first ones to throw you under the bus. That sometimes family hurts worse than strangers ever could. I wanted to leave. Right then. Just grab Noah's hand and walk out. Never look back. But before I could even move, before I could even push my chair back, Noah did something I will never, ever forget. He stood up. No hesitation. No fear. Just a quiet, unshakable strength that didn't match his 9 years. And then he started walking toward the stage. The moment his little feet hit the glossy floor, my breath caught in my throat. My heart stuttered. At first I thought, maybe he's just confused. Maybe he's just going to get a napkin. Or maybe, God, I didn't even know. But he kept walking. Low. Purposeful. People started noticing. Heads turned. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Someone whispered, "Is that her kid?" I half stood, my fingers gripping the edge of the table, my voice barely a whisper, tight with panic. "Noah, come back here." But he didn't. He climbed the steps to the stage. Walked right up to the microphone where Emily had been just moments before. The DJ leaned down, trying to gently nudge him away. "Hey buddy, this isn't." But then Liam, who had been silent all night, raised his hand. His voice firm. "Let him speak." The room stilled. Noah. My sweet, awkward, Minecraft-obsessed 9-year-old, now standing there in front of 100 guests, gripping the microphone stand like it was the only thing keeping him rooted to the earth. And then, in a voice clearer, steadier than I had ever heard from him, he said, "I know something about the bride." The reaction was instant. A ripple of gasps, like a cold breeze sweeping through the room. Emily's face stiffened, her smile faltering for the first time that night. Her fingers curled against the tablecloth. "What are you talking about, sweetheart?" she asked, her voice coated in sugar. But I could hear the edge to it, the barely concealed panic. Noah didn't even glance at her. He looked at me, just for a second. And in that single glance, I saw everything. His confusion, his protectiveness, his anger. And something else. Conviction. Then he turned back to the crowd. I heard her say something. The tension in the room thickened, so dense it felt suffocating. Every breath was held, every eye fixed on the small boy at the microphone. Emily's fingers twitched. A flicker of something crossed her face. Too fast, too slight, but I saw it. Panic. And in that moment my whole world seemed to tilt. Because suddenly I remembered. Earlier that afternoon, I had sent Noah to find the restroom. 5 minutes. 5 minutes where he had been out of my sight. 5 minutes. Where he could have overheard something he was never meant to hear. And maybe, just maybe, I could handle it. Maybe I had survived worse. Barely. Maybe. But I had. I had picked myself up from things that nearly broke me before. I had swallowed my pride, straightened my spine, and moved forward more times than I could count. But another part of me, the part that still ached from their laughter, that still burned from the sting of their betrayal, knew this moment was different. This wasn't just about me anymore. I looked at Noah, standing there in front of 100 people. His little hands gripping the microphone stand with a quiet strength that shouldn't belong to a boy his age. And I knew. I couldn't stop him. Even if I wanted to, even if I begged, Noah had made a decision. And I saw it written all over his face. He wasn't just standing up for me. He was standing up for himself. For every moment we had been pushed aside, dismissed, whispered about. Noah took a breath, cleared his throat. And in that silent waiting room, even that tiny sound seemed to echo. "I was looking for the bathroom," he said softly, "before the wedding started." He glanced at me again, this time longer. This time with a certainty that sent a shiver down my spine. His face wasn't uncertain. It wasn't asking for permission. It wasn't waiting for me to tell him what to do. It simply said, "You taught me to speak the truth. I'm just doing what you taught me." I felt a single tear slip down my cheek. I wiped it away quickly with the edge of my napkin, my fingers trembling against the fabric. I wasn't even sure what I felt in that moment. Fear. Pride. Maybe both. Noah turned back to the guests. "I walked past this room," he continued, voice steady, unwavering. "And I heard Emily talking to one of her friends." Across the room, Emily shifted in her seat. I saw her fingers tighten around the tablecloth. Her mouth part slightly like she wanted to interrupt. But she didn't. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe she already knew what was coming. Noah's voice didn't shake. "Not once. She said," he continued, "she didn't really want to marry Uncle Liam." The gasp that ripped through the crowd was audible. It wasn't just a subtle shift in the air. It was sharp, sudden, alive. Someone's fork clattered against their plate. A couple of guests sat up straighter, eyes wide like they'd just been slapped awake. But Noah wasn't finished.